Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. This is episode number 281 for March 13th. Check the date, 2023. I'm your host, Taomaster99, and with me tonight we have two other gentlemen. One who hasn't been here for a little while, Mr. Swissguard. Swiss, how you doing?
Very happy to be back. It's been, I don't know, a month maybe, but got some games that were foreshadowed the last time I was here.
Nice. And of course we have Mr. DBQ Hams. DB, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you here, Swiss. I know there was a Kirby game released, so chances are you get some. Do we get some feedback from your kids in terms of how this one was received in the family?
That is the game in question.
Excellent. That's
Nice.
good. No, I'm glad to be here. It's got lots to talk about. I mean, we've got plenty to keep us busy. How about that, right? Not overfull, but just a satisfying amount, right? Not a Thanksgiving dinner too stuffed of an agenda, but just enough to walk away and still know that there's some dessert left afterward.
That's right. Looks like we've all been playing a good bit. Some new, some I guess kind of old but new. And then I've actually jumped into back into one game that I'll talk about later. So, but up first, we have myself. I'm going to be going through the GX stories, and I'm going to start it off with Warlander on the PC that I've been playing lately. This is kind of a mix of genres, really. Kind of a third-person kind of action adventure, kind of hack and slashy type game, but also there's some I guess MOBA-esque gameplay also in here, and throw in a little bit of, like, I don't want to say crafting, but more of kind of like build and repair, I guess. This is the best way I can describe it. So you're on this kind of long, thin board, more or less, that you start off on. There could be up to 100 players on each team. It's divided into two teams, and you're kind of battling back and forth, trying to take certain points on the map. When you take those points, and you can spawn into those points if you get killed, or your teammates and stuff. But your ultimate goal is to hopefully make it to the enemy's base, and kind of just it's basically like another kind of control point. You have to take it over, basically, and you win at that point. If by some chance, like, either squad hasn't, or either team hasn't made it to the enemy's base, and time runs out, there's a time limit. I can't remember what the time limit is. It wasn't super long, so maybe like 15 minutes or so it's not too bad of a game, maybe 20 at the most. It's kind of whoever took over the most control points at that point. And then I'm not really sure if it's kind of a tie issue at that point, like what happens, like if it's just like kills, I'm assuming. I never got to that point. Usually we were either my team or the opposite team kind of had all the control points, or most of them at the most. So it'd be kind of interesting to see like what happens if there is that kind of a tie as far as the control points. But and this is kind of a medieval theme, sort of. So you have knights just kind of battling each other, but then there's you got magic also, but there's almost kind of like, I guess it's not steampunk because it's not that kind of Victorian age, but you kind of have like kind of like modernish weapons and robots that you can kind of call out and use. So I never got to that part, really, to the robot part, or I don't know if that's like an ability. Maybe you get down the line, depending on the different classes that you can pick from. You got your normal range and warrior and magician type classes. So it's nothing different there, but it's just kind of an interesting kind of mix of how you can. Actually, this is one thing I forgot to mention more of, was the building part. So there's different defenses that you build up on each team. So like this big, kind of like ballistas, basically, like these big arrows that you can like shoot out at people, or almost like a machine gun type of gun that you get. I think it's just arrows, just shooting arrows. So you can do that, and then over kind of like the main gate, kind of almost like the last gate, because I think there's like a couple different gates before they actually get to your building or your castle. Kind of the main gate before the building is you can actually build up basically like a hot oil or hot like lava or something that you can like pour down on people, as they're trying to break in, because you have to like knock down the gates as you're trying to get through them. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. It's just it's a lot of you're dying and you're coming back, but you kind of have to be strategic about it. Like, hey, so there's like 3 different paths on the map that you can go right down the middle or the right, left. So if it's like, hey, there's a lot of people coming down the middle, obviously you want to kind of spawn into that middle control point or the middle of your base, depending on what you got going on at that point. But it's kind of cool to kind of see that strategy, and just nothing. As far as I can remember, I've never played any kind of game like this. I'm sure there's probably plenty of games maybe that have used this kind of concept, but I've never actually played them. And I was playing with a couple of friends too, which always makes it a lot better, so more enjoyable. So we can kind of at least strategize within our own little team, and do it.
How did you end up finding out about this? Right, it came out last fall. Is this something that some of your there's a group that's playing it and you jumped in with, or how did you stumble across this one?
Yeah, my one friend, I think he played a little bit of it with another one of kind of mutual friends, and they had played it I think a couple nights before I actually jumped in, and he was like, hey, check this out, and it's free to play, so kind of a no-brainer at that point. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. If it's not going to cost me anything. But yeah, he pointed me to it, and I tried it out. But I actually had heard about it before that when it did come out, and I was just like, I wasn't sure, and I had forgot to mention it to him, back when it had first released. But it's he brought me into it like normal. This is my usual buddy that I'm playing most of my games with now. So yeah, so it was kind of nice. You do get broken in within your own team. You get broken up at the beginning, which is something I've never seen before. You can kind of vote like whether you want to do offense or defense. Now, once you get in the game, you can really do whatever you want. But I mean, obviously, if you're on defense, you probably should stay on defense and try to do that. But which is, I guess there's no real way to kind of balance that, or force. You don't want to force people to I guess you can kind of maybe start them off on like a section of the map where they couldn't come back to the defense. But I guess it kind of makes sense too. Like if we're being overrun, you want to try to get everybody back at the base and try to help out. So, but the first couple of games we played were pretty good. Like everybody was kind of doing what they were supposed to do, and then some games just everybody was just all over the place. So, but happens. You're gonna get that in any kind of game like that. So, but yeah, I mean it's definitely it might be one actually we want to try out maybe one day on a playthrough for the show or so. But it was definitely really fun. Nothing as far as like the different classes and stuff, like there's nothing like too dramatic. It's kind of weird, like the wizard, he has these fireballs and lightning, but like when he's doing like his fireballs, it almost like he's doing finger guns. He's just kind of going like this, like real fast. So it's actually kind of funny, but there's just kind of goofy things like that. But overall, it was really enjoyable, and I really liked it. So it was definitely want to keep trying that out.
So it's free to play. Battle pass, cosmetics. Where's the revenue? What's that treadmill look like in terms of engagement?
Yeah, I didn't see a battle pass as far as I remember, but there was cosmetics that you can buy. They had the shop in there, obviously, that you could buy the different cosmetics for the players, and just cosmetics. I didn't see any kind of like pay to win stuff, not that I saw, but. And then you're just like banners and stuff that you can, like in most games, like in Call of Duty and stuff like that. You'll see the little banner with your name and stuff on it that you can change out, and titles and stuff like that. So there's other things like that you can buy, and I think you unlock some stuff as you're going. But obviously the cooler stuff is always going to be in the shop, so you can always buy that. Any other questions on that one?
So. How many players is it? Is it 4v4? Or is it?
No, it's up. It can be up to 100 players, so you can have.
Okay, so it's
massive. Split.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's obviously split between the two teams as much as possible. So yeah, so it can get pretty chaotic.
So how's the respawn time? Right, I'm thinking of like that's similar to a Battlefield type of scope.
Yeah, there's like a kind of a cooldown, so it's like 10 seconds or so before you jump back in. So yeah, which I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess that's good because you don't want to have everybody just jumping right back in and kind of give people a little bit of a breather. So especially if they're being overrun. So I guess I kind of evens
Yeah,
out.
right. It gives a little bit of a competitive advantage to those that didn't die, and comes to push that advantage between the respawn times.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the one, at least the one map we played, there's kind of like these siege towers that you can build up also, and those kind of like will bust through the gates a little bit, obviously a little bit better and a little faster than just, well, hitting it, whacking it with a sword or arrows or magic and stuff. So it's kind of cool. I didn't see anything like that in the other maps. I think we played three different maps, maybe only two, but I only saw it on the one map so far that there's something extra in the environment you can use.
How many hours, I'm sorry, did you say that you played, roughly?
We played it overnight. Probably like maybe 3 or 4 hours. We played one night, and then me and my just the one friend, we tried it again like a couple days later, and we only played for like an hour maybe or so. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any concerns about like it being repetitive or anything like that?
I think maybe a little bit. Like if I was like just to play this, like this is the only game, yeah, I think so a little bit. Even if I was with friends, but there are the 3 different classes too that you can choose from. So I mean, there's always a little bit of replayability in that sense.
There's no investment really up front, so
yeah. And then the other thing is too. Now that I think about it, as I was looking at some of the screenshots here, you can have. I think you can pretty much have one of each class, but you have to like kind of level up before you can not necessarily use another class, but use. I guess I didn't explain that right. So within each class, there's kind of like subclasses that you could pick, like different people or different kind of subclasses. And those subclasses you have to like level up, like the main character or like the default character basically that you start out with. And then you can start using like these other people, and they have like little bit different powers and different abilities. So, and then there's like a kind of like a skill tree where you can add points that you get as you're going through each match or each map game, where you can put into different attributes and stuff. So there's kind of that aspect of it too. Always attack and defense and all that kind of kind of normal RPG stuff that you can do in other games. So which is kind of nice.
So the Steam page describes it as like a MOBA-esque, or like there's cross between multiple genres in there. Is it? Where do you feel like it? They list MOBAs and battle royales and real-time strategy pieces. How does that pretty much capture kind of the different feels of it, or?
Yeah, I haven't played too many MOBAs. I think that
it's kind of the idea of like there's a control point, like there's a group, right? You're trying to battle for some space on a map.
Yeah, the only other one I've really played was it was the Pokemon one that they released. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, Unite. No, it sounds the way you're describing it, right? If you're on a siege and you're trying to, get to take down somebody's tower or castle or whatever, like I could see that there's a similar piece there about destroying someone's base in a MOBA.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically that, but just like scaled up to like just a more massive map. I don't know if either of you ever tried it. I think you did, DB, right? You tried the Pokemon Unite, or you probably played other MOBAs too.
I've played other MOBAs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
usually those are usually like, that's why I said 4v4, right? A MOBA is more like a 5v5 oftentimes. So doing it on a larger scale like this does kind of change those dynamics as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if like in those other games, if there's defensive abilities you can do, or environmental defensive things you can do, like on this one. So that might be a little bit of a difference in here. So like I mentioned, you can do like the big ballista kind of shooting things and all these other kind of machine gun type stuff. So kind of helps you out a little bit. So that's probably helps even it out too. And then just because you could always have like I don't know if you'd have like 50 friends that you can bring in with you, but you could have a majority of a team in a squad, so they kind of would be able to take over a map right away. But in this case, they can try to even it out a little bit. So, but and then there's some, I don't know if they're really like kill streaks or score streaks, or just like something you can build up where you can kind of just unleash it at one point. Like there's the wizard has like this giant storm he can do, and like the warrior has it's almost like a kind of like a charge, but he has it for a few seconds, so he's like kind of bouncing around the area and stuff like that. So kind of throw that.
It's pretty much like it's your ultimate.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's those items too. Although there's some there was that siege tower I was talking about. Like when we first encountered it and we were trying to take it down, it took us forever to just destroy the thing and break it down. And then I think it was like a game or two after that. We had it. We were able to get it and build it, and like the enemy just took it out in like 5 seconds or so, like 10 seconds. Like I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But we were just maybe there's like a certain weak spot that you have to hit, and we just didn't know about it or couldn't see it. Like there's like nothing obvious that showed it on the thing itself. Maybe it was just a glitch when we were doing. I don't know, but yeah, it was just kind of weird that they were able to take that out so quickly. And it took us like 3 to 4 minutes to take that out. So. It could have just been because our we had just started and our guys weren't very powerful yet, so there's that too. All right, any other questions on that one? Nope. All right, DB, you're playing an older game but with some new content.
I am. Yep, I'm playing some Mario Kart Wave 4 of the expansion, which dropped last week. Got a chance to play some of that with my kids and go back through. It is 8 tracks. You get 2 tracks from Mario Kart Tour. You get Waluigi Stadium from Double Dash. You get DK Summit from the Wii version. A couple from Circuit, and then you get an original track as well called Yoshi's Island, which is modeled after the Super Nintendo Yoshi's Island game, right down to the music. And as you're going off one jump, you get a little kind of question block or those question clouds that you'd shoot eggs through in the game, and if you hit it with your car as you're floating, it'll open up kind of a shortcut path. So there's a lot of neat little touches that reflect back on the Yoshi's Island game, which is kind of fun as a new track. It's Mario Kart. It's good, solid. I think it's always interesting in these expansion passes with the difference between the tour tracks, which sometimes are have a little more verticality to them. There's a Singapore or a Bangkok one that's, you're moving up and down quite frequently. There's some really tight corners because the mobile version has a little bit of computer assisted steering in it. So, they have to kind of combine that a little bit more. But, I think you're going back and revisiting some of those things. There's shortcuts are still there, like the DK Summit, the snow one, the snowboarding one on Wii. You could still kind of cut across some of those jumps like you could. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's in the expansion, or the whole DLC is $25. This is wave 4 of 8 planned. They've started to change the language around how they're talking about it. Rather than naming it to be specifically re-released tracks, that they're just calling them tracks, which kind of suggests maybe they'll add some, whether they'll be new tracks or some battle stages, or, they seem to be kind of moving along through this. And unlike many other Nintendo expansion passes, this doesn't seem to be having, it's not stopping anytime soon. So for a game this old to keep churning out content, and really if it's just regenerated content, but it's still a lot of fun. So good time. And again, if you have the expansion pass, it's a free download because you're already paid for it.
Nice. Now, didn't they mention it originally when they announced all these expansion passes that they were only going to be already like known tracks, or did they say that they were going to throw new tracks in there?
I don't remember how they originally messaged it. In Wave 2, there was one new track. In Wave 3, so Yoshi's Island is the second kind of completely new track. There was one 2 waves ago or 1 wave ago. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just thought when they originally announced it, I thought it was just going to be all previously known tracks. So that's good. That's
Yeah,
nice
I
that
think
they.
the new tracks have been kind of a surprise because they haven't really been talking about them specifically.
So I know, like, so when well, at least when the first wave hit, and maybe even the second wave, with some of the known tracks, like people were like, oh yeah, they look nice, but it was still kind of like, it wasn't like kind of people didn't say it was up to snuff than of the the regular Mario Kart tracks that had already been out. Are these new tracks a little bit, are they a little bit more on par with the normal Mario Kart 8 tracks, or are they kind of like, oh, okay, we just kind of threw this together and here you go?
No, they feel appropriate. I mean, I think the one thing that they don't have a lot of is like the anti-grav sections that you get in some of the Mario Kart ones. I think the first wave is probably one of the weaker ones that they were just kind of getting things out there. They've added some of those. You're flying for a while, you're underwater for a while. There's some spots where you have kind of the anti-grav pieces, but not as much. And again, I think one of the things that is fun about this set of tracks is that there's a number of tracks here that have multiple courses, multiple paths through them. So, it does give you a little more variety in that. There's a couple that are kind of short 2 laps and one really long 3rd lap that changes the whole course. So yeah, I think they're pretty substantial. They don't feel kind of. I do know what you're talking about. Like some of the early ones felt like it's just kind of a quick reskin.
Yeah.
They even things like the Game Boy or the DS one, they've done some nice work to kind of add things to it and modify it a little bit.
Oh, nice. That's good to hear. Yeah, I think after the first wave, I don't think I've tried any of the. I might have tried a little bit of the second wave, but I didn't get really a big chance to jump into it. So I definitely want to get back into these. And I like the DK Summit, like the Donkey Kong ones are always really fun. So I want to try those out. Swiss, anything on Mario Kart? I don't know if you guys are a big Mario Kart family.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are playing it this weekend. I remember now one of my kids asking me to pick this up, and I meant to, and I haven't actually done it, and now I'm kind of regretting it after seeing the amount of content, or being reminded of the amount of content. Do you guys remember if like the expansion, because I have a Nintendo Switch Online obviously, but I don't think I have the expansion pack. If you get the expansion pack, does it, and like if you don't renew the expansion, does it remove those special DLC? Okay.
Yeah, it's that access to it is through the expansion.
Okay.
Through the expansion pass. Otherwise, yeah, you can buy it as a standalone. Actually,
$25 for 48 tracks isn't terrible.
no, right? I mean, I think about the other Nintendo kind of expansion things like Xenoblade or Fire Emblem, and those are $25, and there's not nearly this much content in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, by the time all is said and done with 8 waves, there's going to be $25 is less than it's pretty cheap.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Even just for those maps, if you don't want to go the NSO expansion route. All right, Swiss, you want to bring us home on the main stories here with some more Nintendo Switch gaming?
Yeah, we picked up Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which came out at the end of February, and I got a chance to play it a little bit. So this is a remake or remaster of the Wii game Return to Dreamland, but it definitely, like, I guess the biggest vibe that I felt was like back when I was a really young lad playing Kirby's Adventure on the NES, and mostly because I haven't played many Kirby games until recently with my children. So, but I did have Kirby's Adventure. So this, like, it's definitely got the side-scroller 2D aspect, but even more than like, what was the first Switch one? Star Allies?
Yep.
Yeah. So this one feels a little bit more old school to me. Like even between the levels, you have like the little goal mini game, where it's kind of like Kirby like goes down and then you have to tap A really fast to see how high you can jump, and just little things like that. And I just remembered that from when I was a kid playing Kirby's Adventure. Colors are vibrant. It's got a nice cell shaded quality. The the copy abilities, are varied, and it's nice that like they have a little bit of variety in their special moves. So like you get like a copy ability for like a sword. It's not just, oh, I can swing my sword. Like you have different moves that you can do with the sword, and those button combinations may vary slightly versus like the beam or the leaf cutter or something, which is kind of neat. It's kind of gives each copy ability a little bit more of its own personality, and you kind of want to learn more. Like you get the new copy ability, and you want to learn really what you can do to push it. So as far as like the main game goes, that's neat. My kids jumped on it immediately when we got it. So I haven't played the main game with them because I saw the chaos when four of them were playing together. And
Does it work? I mean, I'm trying to remember Star Allies. Does it, with that many players, do you end up with kind of the bubble system from Mario, or how do they determine who's leading the camera and when
I think
somebody
it's
else is
like
pulled behind?
Kirby's leading and everybody else is kind of having to play along. But I know that I just know that I had to break up the argument pretty quickly because one kid wanted to go through and collect the stuff, and then the younger kids were just like going crazy trying to kill things, and you're like, no, you need to get that copy of and then so we had to take a break pretty quickly into it. And so I'm like, when I started to play, they immediately all started grabbing controllers, and like, well, Dad's gonna play by himself for a little bit, see what this looks like. So I played a few levels, and but what I did do in the other half of the game that we actually spent more time on was the Magoland, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if that was like in the original Return to Dreamland Deluxe or what, but it's like it's a theme park setting, but you have all the classic Kirby mini games in it. So that was where honestly like my kids have spent most of their time and where I was playing with them. So you have going back to Kirby's Adventure, I distinctly remember like the old West shoot 'em up mini game, and where it was like the two of you are here, pops up, and you have to hit the A button first. They don't have that one, but they have the Samurai game where it's basically the same thing. Like everybody's lined up in the Samurai Showdown. Whoever hits it first can go. So that sort of thing. There's some other kind of. I have no idea. It's been a while since I've played those really old school Kirby games, but there's some other ones that were fun. Like you're on a checkerboard type map, and then you can send like a line across the map, and wherever your line goes straight away from you, and it makes the tiles fall. So you have to try to trap other people and make them fall. Just there's a lot of different stuff. There's like 8 to 10 mini games, maybe a couple more, and they have little missions too for the mini games, like get so many whatevers in the egg catcher or something. And I didn't have a chance to explore those because my kids were wanting to jump from mini game to mini game really fast, and I didn't have time to like absorb. But yeah, it was fun, and if you like that old school classic Kirby, I mean that's what it is. It's Kirby. Probably not nearly as innovative as Forgotten Land, but fun for what it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. Like I have the Wii version, right? Like it's a nice update of that, but pretty much it's a very traditional side-scrolling Kirby, which also means it's very approachable, it's very family friendly, it's age friendly. Yeah, it's fun that there's all those other little add-ons to it. Have they or you tried, what is it? There's another mode with the other character where you have different kind of powers than Kirby, whoever the villain is.
Oh, maybe we haven't gotten far enough to unlock that. Is it? I don't know if that's unlockable, but I haven't noticed it.
It might be unlockable, yeah. So But it sounds like you're kind of going back through selections or sections of each stage with a different set of abilities then.
Oh, yeah, that might be interesting too. But if you have, family, like you said, that are into Kirby, it's a solid outing. Not gonna light the world on fire, but it's fun for what it is.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I've played any Kirby games actually. To be honest with you, I did have an interest in Forgotten Lands. I just never pulled the trigger on them. I don't know. No, I mean, I didn't think of it as like hard or easy or too kiddie or anything like that. I don't know. For some reason, I never got into the Kirby games for whatever reason. So
Yeah, I always find them they're very charming and almost relaxing at some point, right? Because they're easy to digest little platformers.
yeah, nothing too hard. That's good. All right, nothing else on the main stories. Let's jump into the news. First up, looks like we have, unfortunately, another delay for Starfield. Well, I guess not really a delay because there's never really a solid release date.
I don't know. Didn't they name 2 different dates and put out headlines around when they were going to release?
Yeah, I think they said first half of the year, right? I think initially.
Yeah, I think they had
when
May.
It was
at some
delayed.
point.
Yeah.
I think they gave a window, but not necessarily. It's not like they gave the 11/11/22 date the first time where they bumped that.
Yeah, so there's a just under 3 minutes video that Bethesda put out. Kind of just starts out with a little bit of gameplay, or not gameplay, excuse me, in-game footage, and then it goes to Todd Howard, and he's just kind of talking how they have to, why they're delaying it, and just it's just a bigger experience that not to say it was a bigger experience than they thought, but just they want to make sure they get everything right on the game, and then kind of showing a behind the scenes kind of with the developers as they're kind of working on it. And then they also announced that June 11th they'll have a Starfield Direct, so just nothing but Starfield, and to kind of go over, I'm assuming, more in depth of of the game, just have a deep dive on it. So, which I believe, if not on this article that's posted here from Game Industry Biz, but another one that it's going to be right before Microsoft's.
Yeah, they kind of flagged when Microsoft Showcase is going to be, is right around that, kind of back to back with it. So
yeah, so unfortunately, I mean, they kind of thought it wasn't going to come out this first half of the year. I mean, I wasn't really holding my breath, to be honest with you. It kind of made sense for them to hold off until the fall. So September 6th is the new date, 2023. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this will finally be the end date. But any thoughts from you guys? I mean, like I said, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, kind of a moment.
No, I think it's noteworthy, but I also think it's probably it's the right call, right? I mean, Bethesda games typically have plenty of launch day window issues in terms of stability. So, given the profile of this, giving some more time to get it out, and even just releasing it in the fall itself is probably better in terms of kind of the getting attention toward it. But if it gives them more time to get things stable, which is ultimately the hope after, trying to think of the last time a Bethesda game launched that was really stable, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking about this. I'm like, well, it's Bethesda, so no matter what their release date is, it's going to be a little bit before I'm like, okay, I'm not a huge Bethesda guy anyway, but I wouldn't be getting it on day one regardless.
No, right? If it comes out in September, that means by holiday shopping season and Thanksgiving, it's going to have 2 patches by then and probably run a little more stable.
Yeah.
Not a lot of memory leaks by that point in time. I'm trying to think of what other issues have plagued Bethesda launches. So
yeah, well, hopefully, because this is just Xbox and PC, so hopefully it's a little bit. They've been able to concentrate more, so it won't be hopefully as buggy. More than likely, probably. I mean, it's an open world game too, so I mean, you're obviously not going to get everything squashed.
You accept some of that, yeah.
Yeah, but Yeah, but definitely Bethesda games have always had a little bit more, a little bit extra than most games. So, yeah, unfortunately, we see that delay again. And I believe Redfall is what, May? I'm trying to go back to this
I
article.
think Redfall's still planned for May. Yep.
Yeah, just saw it in this article I was looking at. Yeah, so May. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting though too that since they are bumping this back to the fall, does like what is like the rest of the year and beyond that even for Microsoft, bring, because we haven't really seen. I mean, we have seen a good amount of games coming out from all over the place, but they were kind of touting this year as the big year. So
Right. Like I think other than
Forza, I think.
Redfall, Starfield, and Forza, I don't know that we know of anything else.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see more of that in a couple months.
But I would also say, I mean, hopefully, I would be completely content with if the lesson they take away, Microsoft takes away from the kind of shadow drop of Hi-Fi Rush is, it doesn't have to be a huge AAA profile game that if you put something new out there that people don't expect, even if it's kind of mid-tier, it can still generate some good hype because the benefit of a shadow drop is that you don't have all those expectations built up. You just get a chance to play it now, give it a try.
Yeah.
So I could see some of the things that might be not kind of high profile, kind of taking that same route in order to kind of continue to scatter in some smaller releases too.
Yeah, I guess this Starfield was kind of different for Bethesda too, because usually, I think the last few games with Skyrim and the Fallouts 3, 4, and maybe even 76, they kind of announced it and it was kind of like out within just like a few months, and this is kind of the first one in a while. And maybe obviously because of COVID too, has probably put a dent into that, but it would have seemed something this big would probably still would have been a little bit of ways out. Would have been like right away, like most of their other games. So
they announced Elder Scrolls 6 at the same E3, right?
Yeah.
Way back
Yes,
when.
they did. Yep. Yeah.
Just
that was, what was that, 19?
It says 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was before that. Yeah, yeah. It was just a little, like, quick little mountainous area that they showed him with the Elder Scrolls 6, and that was
concept idea. Yeah. I mean, even at that time, that's all they really showed of Starfield as well. Was kind of just a kind of thematic piece.
The title, yeah, basically. Yeah, I don't think the real, well, I should say the real trailer came out like a year later or so, or just like that person lifting off a planet. So, but yeah, it's interesting. All right, up next we have Epic Store.
Yeah, so the Epic Store is releasing some self-publishing tools. This is in line with Steam as well in terms of some self-publishing. Basically, not a whole lot of steps here, right? You got to create a page, test your build, have some ratings on your game, submit it for review. But I think it's not a huge, right? Not a lot of steps, kind of similar things. The Epic Store kind of touts their revenue in terms of, developers keep 88%. But the one piece that stood out to me was that any multiplayer game needs to be cross-play across all PC storefronts. So it kind of just leans into that reality that has been kind of building in terms of, if it's on either store, you're still going to play with each other on PC. So it's it gives a developer the option of putting it here without necessarily having it to be, you're building it to work on both places. So it just kind of ideally expands their market or their potential for it.
One thing that I noticed from the article, though, that I thought was a little bit funny was it's like Valve doesn't let you do blockchain games. You will be able to do blockchain games on the Epic Store. But I didn't really feel like that was an asset.
I think I don't know if there's already blockchain. I mean, but there are a couple like NFT related games already on the Epic Store as well.
Yeah.
So they're trying to set themselves apart from Steam with regards to that, but
And the last part too in the article where it says Epic reserves the right to reject games that we don't feel are sufficient in quality and functionality. I wonder how long it will be before you kind of see the up in arms, the pitchforks and all that when something like that happens. So I guess that it's probably going to be something. It'd have to be something like a kind of a bigger, I guess not bigger company, but kind of bigger indie or something like that. Where
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like and how many of just the deluge of kind of questionable quality and subject matter games on Steam make their way over to Epic as well.
yeah, they kind of had that. There's obviously not adult material. There's not going to be on there and stuff like that. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And once this starts to kind of get steam, so to speak, no pun intended, will we see that deluge then of kind of like in Steam where it's just like there's just so much out there, and it's the Epic Store as it is I mean, it's fine, I suppose, like when I'm kind of looking through and trying to find games and stuff, but it's not nearly as good as Steam. And
I think I saw in another article, might have been on PC Gamer or something, but they kind of touched on that, and it mentioned, I can't find it now, of course, but they mentioned something to the effect of like, we understand that a lot of the discoverability happens outside of the store, so it's almost like I don't want to say that they're like ignoring the problem, but maybe just acknowledging the intractability of the problem.
That there is one,
right?
basically.
Like you can't really fix it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be, yeah.
It's just the way it is, I suppose. Well, which I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of hard to do that, and I mean, you don't want that kind of Wii effect where you just get a ton of stuff, and it seems like hopefully it'll try to police it a little bit, but stuff's gonna start to get through as it snowballs. So it's gonna be probably so much coming through that can't just get it all sorted out, but hopefully maybe they'll find a way to do that. So who knows? All right. Up next, we had Capcom had a spotlight on some games.
Yeah, not a whole lot new here. We get, speaking of Game Pass games, Exoprimal, which is kind of a co-op dinosaur sci-fi action game, is coming day one to Game Pass. It's coming out in June, July, somewhere in there, summertime. We get some more information on Resident Evil 4, along with a demo that dropped at the same time. So a chainsaw demo, which is out there now. Some news around Monster Hunter Rise, the Sunbreak expansion coming for Xbox and PlayStation. It's already out on PC and Switch. We got some very Capcom related news about Capcom ID of needing to sign in and Capcom Town. Who knows what that is. And then we get some announcements about Street Fighter announcers. So Street Fighter 6 is still on schedule to come the beginning of June. And now there are 4 different announcers that have been debuted, 2 English-speaking and 2 Japanese-speaking announcers. So the most recent one was a Japanese film television star that she'll be providing announcement and commentary for. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. How much of that is canned, how that's pulling together, how they're kind of crafting that announcement pieces, or if it's just within certain modes and tournaments, that they have within the game. So I'd be curious there, but just to slowly keep dribbling out the Street Fighter 6 hype train as it gets closer to release.
Did they have an official release for their Street Fighter 6 date?
Final release date, yes, June 6th.
Oh, it is June 6th. Okay.
I don't know that there's a final release trailer yet, but yeah, June 6th. Yep. There's some other things things we knew about, like Ghost Trick was on the last Nintendo Direct, was also announced here. So not a lot of, I don't know that there's anything really new more just kind of some more details on existing pieces of things.
Yeah, just updates. Yeah, I clicked on the link. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Exoprime. I hadn't heard of Exoprimal, or I missed some stuff on it, so this is the first I've seen it, and it looks interesting. It's got some neat sci-fi vibes and everything. There is going to be an open beta for that this weekend, March 17th through 19th, and the game does release in mid-July, but maybe worth a download this weekend.
Nice. I was gonna say the link for the Capcom Town or whatever that's called. It looks like it has when you go to it, it just says coming soon. So we still, I guess, don't really know what that is about exactly. So hopefully not another launcher though, because we've had enough of those, I think.
No, I think it's more in the. It sounded like it was more in the NFT space than in the launcher space.
Okay.
So, do you want to buy digital access to a Capcom character that can live in your Capcom town?
Little Zangief for Chun-Li running around, I guess. All right. Exoprimal okay, I see it is coming out for everything. For some reason, I was thinking that one was only a PlayStation exclusive. Did that come out on a PlayStation Direct or something at one point? Did you remember?
I think that might be where it was initially announced, but I think it was only. It was a pre-rendered cutscene, kind of a.
So like in a city.
I think so.
Okay.
Kind of sci-fi city, yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering because I thought it was.
I didn't realize that there was a beta this weekend, so that'll be kind of fun to give a try.
Definitely. All right. Last bit of news here. Another announcement of, and this is coming from Paradox Interactive. Excuse me. It's going to be a competitor of The Sims, basically. It's called Life by You, and they had kind of a quick little. I think they had like a direct, didn't they? That company, just in general, I believe this past week, and this was kind of one of the more interesting, I think, games out there because you don't really see any, straight competitors with to The Sims. Excuse me. They made City Skylines, I believe, was the kind of their other, I guess, bigger known game, sim game. So, but it sounds pretty much The Sims. You got your own little characters and town that you can build up. Sounds like you can maybe do a little bit more building other than just like a house or and inside the house and stuff like that. Maybe there's city elements in this at some point or right away. So I just thought it was kind of interesting because like I said, I've seen SimCity, and there's the City Skylines, and there's been other kind of city sim games, but not really going down into the person level and where you can build a life and all that. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that these guys are going to try that out now. So any interest in this for either of you guys? I'm going to take that as a no.
I did see though they threw it in at the end of the article on Rock Paper Shotgun. It was like another strategy game from the devs behind BattleTech, and they don't give the name of the game, but I was like, oh, BattleTech, I love that game, Harebrained Schemes. And it's called The Lamplighters League and the Tower at the End of the World, and it's like an alternate 1930s and I was, it has that cool Indiana Jones vibe. But it's like the strategy thing. But I love BattleTech, as you guys know. So
yes,
that's the one that piqued my interest, even though it didn't make the article really.
No, yeah, I was kind of looking at their page too, and just kind of other games. Victoria, I have Victoria 3, so obviously a Victoria series. Crusader Kings, which I've heard of before. Stellaris, which I've heard of. Just some other games that are kind of like smaller ones that it's kind of those ones you probably heard or seen, you just didn't know. Empire of Sin, which I think was that gangster.
Yep, that was the gangster one.
Yeah. So Surviving Mars, I think that was recently. I think that one. I heard a lot of buzz about that one when that first came out. So it looks like they're, they got a lot going for them. So I'm glad they're keeping on going. All right. Any other News that you guys want to talk about, or any comments on the news articles? Yeah, all right. Let's jump into our round robin. And speaking of Street Fighter, Mr. DB.
Yes. So the Capcom announcement and kind of the building hype. Actually, what got me back into, not even back into, but to try Street Fighter V for the first time was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. Street Fighter Duel for mobile released, which I'm a sucker for mobile IPs that I can kind of play in between things. But I'm also a sucker for realizing what it is probably a little too late, and then eventually deleting it off my phone. So, but yes, Capcom Duel is Street Fighter Duel is I got frustrated with it because there's so many systems as a free to play and so many currencies, and then I realized, oh, it's just an idler. I just need to, upgrade a few people and not do anything. Which once I realized that, I did not get as frustrated, but also deleted it because it's not really a Street Fighter type of game.
So
what I did play,
I'm sorry, real quick before you get into actual Street Fighter 5. So that one's not like the Mortal Kombat game where you actually like kind of control-ish the characters.
I mean, so you can, right? There is an auto battle, and there is they attack automatically, and then you can tap the screen to select which combo for them to do.
Oh, okay.
So, no, it is not like the Injustice type of game where there's actual actions to do.
Okay.
No, it is very much a, do you want to level up your characters? You could buy. I mean, the crazy thing is there wasn't really, sorry, this is a rant, right? There wasn't even really that much, it is a pay to win if you want to get on a treadmill fast, but there's not you're not buying certain characters or, the S class of a character. It's just a matter of continuing to play a gacha game until you get enough characters to level them up. Anyhow, it's a Crunchyroll game. I didn't even know that Crunchyroll was making games. So, but it is very much, it is well done. The production quality is fine, but it is a free to play mobile game at its core that is hunting whales. So, anyhow, so yes, Street Fighter V, I had never played it. I checked it out from my local library and then realized that I had a copy on PC through Humble Bundle at some point in time, right? Oh yeah, I guess I have that. It shows up in my library. It's I've enjoyed playing it, right? I have the only context I have for some of the newer characters is through Duel and through kind of side stuff. If it is an original Street Fighter character from Street Fighter 2, I have a good sense of what their combos and how to make those movesets. Other than that, it's a lot of button mashing, but looks good. Plays, it's fluid. One of the knocks against it, I remember when it first came out, was that it was kind of light in terms of content. They are, there's a lot there at this point. It came out in 2016, so 7 years later, there's a lot. There's been 5 different seasons of DLC characters. There's a story mode. There's little kind of character story modes. There's multiple different tournament options and online battles. It took me a while just to kind of weed through all the stuff that was actually there, but it's really solid fighting. It's still enjoyable. Since it's new to me, it felt kind of like it was an enjoyable experience. If I've been playing any fighting game for 6 years, chances are you've probably burned out on it. But if you haven't, it's super cheap at this point. And if what I'm using it for is a chance to kind of play around with some of the characters that will show up in 6, because it seems like, it's been a while since I bought a Street Fighter. I did pick up Street Fighter 4, and I remember picking up Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. Very, very, acutely, I remember sending my mother while I was at a baseball game as a middle schooler to go get this game about beating each other up. And she was, let's just say, very excited and thankful that her son was. But anyhow, right?
sure we all have stories like that from back in the day. For me, it was Turok 2: Seeds of Evil.
They're
for the
just dinosaurs,
N64.
Mom. They can
Yeah.
bleed. It's okay.
No, it's in. I kind of I sympathize with you with regards to like Street Fighter. I feel like I've picked up some over the years. Like I know I bought Street Fighter 4 at one point, and then I always like end up. I don't know. Like I buy into the hype in my brain more than I actually do the actual game, and I play and I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun. Like I tickled that whatever it or scratched that itch that I had from playing like Street Fighter 2 back in the day on the SNES. And then it's just not, and they've never like clicked with me as much as like the Soul Calibur series has, or uh, I mean even Smash Brothers. It's just I don't know. Like it's always something that I play and then it's like okay that was fun and then it goes back. So it's nice that I guess you could experience that on the cheap with Street Fighter 5.
Right. I think that's the benefit here is like I know that I'm never going to be competitive with it, and I mean I appreciate and enjoy the characters more than I have brain capacity to get into all the combos. So I'm okay with kind of churning through a story mode. It's fun to revisit some of the characters, but yeah, I don't know. I'm hard pressed to justify spending $70 on the new one when I know that like I will appreciate it for what it is, but I will probably not get a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to pick it up, I think right now, they're all on sale for the next couple weeks after the Capcom event, and I think it's under $10 for the base game and some of the championship edition stuff, which gives you extra characters.
Yeah, I never got too big into like the mainline Street Fighter games. It was more like the Versus series that I always enjoyed. I think more. I think the last mainline one was one of the alphas, maybe one or two. I can't remember which one. It might have even been a combo of both of them actually. But yeah, I didn't realize this one was on PC too. So, sorry, Street Fighter 5 was on PC also. So it's interesting. Maybe get it on the cheap. I haven't played one in a long time. So
like $5, Tao. Like
oh, nice. Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer. I was
at that.
Yeah. I kind of compare this to like the Forza series, whereas like I don't really like the mainline Forza series, but I like the Horizon side, cause a little more, not so simmy. So I like the kind of because Street Fighter 5, like while there were combos, like I like kind of the more, 10 to 15 hit combos that you can get. You could probably get that too, I guess, in Street Fighter, but it's kind of a more technical type of game where you have to stop and you gotta really think of what you're doing. And with the Versus series, you're just like mashing buttons and stuff like that. So, but they were fun. Yeah, and I think I'm the same way. I was just kind of like, I always got like the animes that they made. I always kind of watched all that stuff a little bit more, kind of the comic books too. When I was collecting the comic books and kind of more than the games. So it's good though. Not the movies so much, the live action movies. Well, we won't speak about that. We'll move on. So I've been playing. I jumped back into World War Z.
Hold on.
No.
That tells me that you've watched Chun-Li: Legend of the Street Fighter.
Actually, no, I never did watch that one.
Okay,
just the original live
You're
action.
talking about the old school with like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the classic. I mean, that's just cheese at that point.
Yeah. No, I never watched the newer one, so I don't know how good or bad that was.
Again, I don't think you're missing much, but
all right. Anyways, World War Z. So I jump instead of doing just the horde mode like I had been doing the last few times I had played this. I actually jumped into the campaign, the co-op campaign more specifically, with my one friend, and it's kind of just horde mode anyways. Like you're kind of going from point to point, and you gotta kind of like defend certain areas or. Sometimes it's just you kind of have to run, like you don't even want to, kind of go after the horde or try to defeat the horde. It's just kind of like this one spot, a couple of spots we got to, where it's like, hey, just run, like, we got to get past this. You can't. If we stop, we're pretty much going to be dead. I think it was just the two of us plus the two AI guys. So unless we had like 4 actually live people, we probably would have been okay. But he's like, just run past it. We'll do it later, or we do it some other time. And it was just like, just hordes of zombies, just like if you've ever read the book or have seen the the movie, there's just like a mass of them coming at you. So yeah, it was probably the best that we just did that. But It's pretty fun though. It's a little bit different than the horde mode because at least you're going kind of point to point. In horde mode, you're kind of just stuck in one area, so it's a little bit different, and you get a little bit of the story too that's going on. But so we did that for like one night, I think maybe 2 nights last week. It was pretty fun. We'll go back to it, and I don't know if in this mode and in the horde mode if as you level up, it levels up like kind of not each one by itself, but kind of together or not. So I gotta look that up because it was kind of interesting to see. Because I don't know, it'd be kind of rough to be going back and forth between both of them and have to level up each of them individually.
How many co-op players does it support?
You can do 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So that could be another one we could actually do for a game night. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty good time. I'm trying to remember. I know in the horde mode we've died obviously a lot, but I'm trying to think in this co-op mode. I don't think we got close to actually dying. I think at one point we did get one other live person that kind of jumped into our session, just kind of just dropping in and out. So, which is kind of nice. But other than that, it was just the 2 of us. So it was a little bit hard with it, just the 2 of us. And the AI is the AI. I mean, it can make or break you. But depending on the situation. But so. A lot of times they would just get in the way, which is kind of like most AI, blocking a doorway or something like that. So it's like, come on. But it's still a lot of fun, and I'm still enjoying it.
I'm looking at the Steam page right now, and this kind of goes back to your first game, Warlander, when DB was asking about the genres, because the Steam page for, at least on my Steam page, for World War Z, it says, oh, okay, because it's more from Saber Interactive. I was going to say, why are they advertising SnowRunner?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hunt or Back for Blood. Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll continue to plug away at the co-op storyline for now. And maybe, I know there's another friend of ours too, I think has it, so maybe we'll kind of try to have him get in there too. Hopefully get through the game. But enjoying it very much. All right, DB, some sad gameplay, I think, maybe on your next set of games.
No, I mean, I think I just the end of March is the final shutdown of the 3DS and Wii U eShops, and so last year around whenever, I think it was May, when they shut down, that you could add money to it. They had a number of sales kind of there, and I picked up some stuff. And now in this last month, you can. The only way you can add money is if you have it linked with your, Switch, basically, or it's online. So, which means I have no hope of figuring out what account my Wii U is connected to, but I know that one of my 3DSs is connected to my Switch account, so I can add some cash on the Switch account and download some things. But there's a number of sales going on right now. Both Capcom's got a bunch of stuff. Like all the Phoenix Wrights and Monster Hunters are $3. There's a number of kind of small indie things that are on sale. All the Steam World games are on sale. The Shovel Knight Treasure Trove with all like 4 different versions of that game over the course of the years is $5. So there's a number of kind of, a lot more indie stuff than kind of big name things, but some nice little discounts and deals in the final few weeks here of the 3DS eShop.
How many games did you end up purchasing?
I've only purchased a couple of the Phoenix Wright ones at this point.
Oh.
Like, because I'm kind of going back through to see like, okay, well, I've really debated back and forth about, do I pick up something like Dragon Quest 8, which is impossible to find on physical copy anymore, or very, I sold mine a couple years ago to help fund my Xbox Series X because I could sell it for $180. So, which also means I'm probably not going to buy it again for that much. Like, so yeah, I mean, I've only picked up a few things, maybe $10 worth of like 3 Phoenix Wright stuff. Because one of the games, Dual Destinies, is only on the eShop. So I'm tempted by a Monster Hunter, right? Like the idea of a Monster Hunter for $3 is like a whole lot of game, but it's right in that same wheelhouse of Street Fighter. Like, I can appreciate what this game does, but I know that I will never invest the amount of time to actually get, the full scope of the game. So
Were most of the games you got stuff you never had a chance to get then,
or never really prioritized to get, right? Like
yeah.
at one point I had a number of the Phoenix Wright games on DS and sold them over the years, but picking them up for $3, sure, why not?
Nice. I can't even remember the last time I even turned my 3DS. I think it was sometime before I had gotten my son his Switch, or before he got his Switch. He actually paid for it himself.
Well, probably the most money I spent on my 3DS over the last month has been buying a replacement battery for my new 3DS, for my XL, right? Like, I picked it back up last month to play a little bit of Theatrhythm when Theatrhythm, like the new game, the Final Bar line, was coming out.
Yeah.
And even on a full charge, it wouldn't play more than 3 to 5 minutes.
Ooh,
so I dropped the $15 and got a new battery for it. So
nice. And pretty simple to put in, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just a lithium battery, so it swaps out.
Okay. I didn't know if they had it like wired in
like
there
a
somehow.
cell phone. Yeah.
Yeah, like in there so bad that you can't get to it easily, or had to take apart the whole thing. All right, Swiss, any going back and buying any 3DS stuff, or were you not a big 3DS person?
I've never been like a huge handheld gamer. I keep having to. I know at one point we bought I bought the 3DS version or whatever remakes of Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons for Zelda, and so I know they're in my library somewhere, on the one 3DS that we have that still works. And I always I think about it a lot. I want to go back and play it. The other 3DS game that I've wanted to play that now I don't know if we'll ever get to, as the eShop's closing, and well, I guess I do have the one physical disc. Triforce. It was like the Zelda Triforce Heroes or something.
Like the 3-player kind of engine co-op. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the game you want to break out your 3DS for?
I remember borrowing it, and I was gonna play it with two of my kids, and we never had the 3DSs to do it with. But
yeah, I could see locally that could be fun. I mean, definitely more fun than what, Metroid Federation Force, whatever that.
I don't even know what that one is.
Oh yeah, okay, never. We'll just let that one go.
All right. No, I guess it's sad to kind of see it go away, but the other thing that I kind of was thinking about as DB was talking about the account is I know I have a few games probably in the eShop, but I don't even know what that account was linked up to, because I know we kind of had that when we had the Wii U, and at some point they were linked, but they weren't linked. I'm not sure which accounts. Nintendo went through this phase where you had kind of different types of online accounts, and I don't even remember what mine were. So it doesn't help things.
I should go down there and just download as much as I can, I suppose, before it's totally dead. Because I'm sure I've deleted stuff off of there or make space.
Well, I mean, so if you own something, you can still the store will still be available to go and re-download things.
Oh, okay.
It is just that nothing new can be purchased. Yep. So that's so yeah, you could, if you still have stuff that's in your on your account, as long as you can remember what your account is, it's still there, and that they've not given a date of when that would be inaccessible at this point.
Oh, okay. I thought the whole thing was just totally dead. All right, that's good to know. All right. Swiss, you want to take us out here with your PC game?
The last one, real quick, is Brotato, and it's just this indie, I think, one-person studio. Pretty much one square map. Calling it a map is a stretch. It's one arena, and it's just this roguelite shooter where you don't really even control it. You just move the character around, it auto fires, and as you go through, you collect experience and money, and you can purchase upgrades of different weapons and so eventually you can have like 6 weapons going off at the same time and like turrets and everything. It's got this goofy, cartoony aesthetic, and it the gameplay is simple. It's a quick loop, but it's fun to just see how far you can get. Like depending on how you choose to go about it, you can kind of build your character in different ways. Like focusing on improving your range abilities. So then you'll focus on targeting range weapons and upgrading them, and improving your like attributes on your character. There's a lot of different like starter characters that might have various handicaps and stuff. So it's just it's a little roguelite. It's cartoony, but when you're flying around, with like swords and pistols and like taser guns, and they're all firing in all directions against hordes of aliens.
Have
fun.
you played Vampire Survivors? Because looking at this, it's very much in that kind of Vampire Survivors kind of reverse bullet hell aspect of you're firing automatically and your job is really just to move around and survive.
I have not, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that it's inspired by something like that.
It's also out on mobile because I've seen it on mobile as well.
Brotato,
yeah. I mean, so is Vampire Survivors, but yeah, that's where I first encountered Brotato, was in the Play Store.
So yeah, it's fun little. Like I said, it's not. I mean, it's less. I think I got it for less than $5. So
yeah, I think there's been a lot of those type of games recently. Have been popping up since I think Vampire Survivor kind of was the breakout hit this past year, the past year or so. So they've been coming out a lot. All right, awesome,
fun.
Yep.
Thanks, Swiss. Great to have you here.
Anything you're looking forward to play, Swiss? Now that we have you here?
Looking forward, like that's coming out.
It's coming out. Yeah.
I guess Octopath Traveler 2 is already released, so I can't wait to play it. But I want to finish the first one, even though I don't know if they're linked or not. I have no idea about the storyline.
I mean, from everything I know, they're not. No.
But my OCD still wants me to finish the first one. I feel compelled.
I get you.
And then
I get that.
The other thing is, honestly, like the game that I need to get to, like I want to finish Death Stranding because I'm having a lot of fun with that. But that's been sitting on my shelf since Christmas is God of War 3 Ragnarok.
Nice.
But it's not upcoming, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Upcoming game that I'm really excited about that they just recently announced. I guess not recently announced. This can kind of fall under the news, like a news tidbit. Is Advanced Wars Reboot Camp going to be released in a few months, like late spring. April.
Yeah, it's coming up early April. Yeah, because you could do the vouchers and get Boot Camp and Tears of the Kingdom, whatever the Zelda one is.
I forgot about that vouchers thing. Yeah, yep. I gotta look into that.
There you go. That's the way you get your Zelda fix a little cheaper. And yep.
I don't think I'm gonna have the opportunity to play Zelda probably for a month.
Because the rest of your family will be playing it.
I've been filibustered off of my gaming consoles, but no, like my family's pretty excited about Tears of the Kingdom. They've been playing a lot of Breath of the Wild recently, Breath of the Wild and Hyrule War, the Champions one was.
Yeah, the one in that same art style.
Yeah. So I guess those would be the ones.
Nice.
Switch heavy.
Switch heavy, yeah. That's all right. All right. DB, anything you're going to be playing coming up here soon or in the future?
A couple weeks we get MLB The Show 23.
Oh, yeah,
so
right.
Interested to see how that plays out. They've been doing some more announcements and drops over the last couple weeks in terms of what they've been adding to some of the modes and revising some of the draft features and celery aspects. So you know me, I'm always down for a sports game. So
yeah, I've been jumping on and off of 22 last few months too. Every once in a while I'll jump in there and play a couple of games and do maybe like a weekly or a daily or whatever of the challenges and stuff. So Did you do a lot of the what is it, the weekly challenge? I think is where you get like the big money if you're like top spot or anything. Do you ever do any of those? No.
No, I pretty much I mainly do this last year. I mainly did March to October, which is like the kind of abbreviated season where you jump into like the 6th inning or the 7th inning, and the challenge is to win or to come back from a down game, or to pitch a certain type, get a certain number of strikeouts.
Yeah.
And then I think that's mainly what I've been playing there. I haven't, I open up the Diamond Dynasty every once in a while just to baseball cards, but never actually play much of it. I appreciate what it is, but I just can't. I've never invested the time for it. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, I actually got to AA finally in my season this past season. So which in the previous game I didn't get close to even like upgrading or moving up. So it was kind of nice that I actually got that far at least. I haven't got to the majors, but maybe this year we'll see in this game. We'll see what happens. I got a lot farther though. So
you're talking about Road to the Show, right?
Road to the Show. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's a mode that's always kind of fun, but kind of slow going nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that is it for tonight's episode. Episode number 281. Swiss, nice to have you back on the show. DB, always nice to have you here. Please join us next week where DBQ will be hosting our show with probably just me, more than likely. Or I don't know if Game Logic is coming back or not. In the next week or two, we'll see. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Please stay safe out there and play those games. We will see you next time.